The echo keeper. The thing about echoes is they can't exist without you making a sound first. 10-year-old Chloe knew this better than most, as many times her parents, physicists with poetic streaks, had explained it to her as the world's way of sending your actions back to you. Chloe liked this idea very much until the day she didn't. The trouble started with a stone. Not a special stone, just an ordinary slate-gray pebble that fit perfectly in Chloe's palm as she stood at the edge of Ferguson Bridge. The bridge arched over Kestrel Creek, its weathered limestone spans connecting the fancy east side of town, where Chloe lived in houses of cream stucco and terracotta tiles, with the west side, where most shops and her school were located behind faded brick facades and hand-painted signs. Beneath the bridge, old Mr. Holloway was fishing, as he did every Tuesday and Thursday morning. His worn canvas hat, the color of dried wheat, shielded his face from the morning sun, as his fishing line cut a silver thread through the amber-tinted water. Chloe had never spoken to him, but everyone knew his story, how he'd once been the town's most respected judge before something terrible happened. Now he just fished, though people said he never caught anything. Chloe hadn't meant to drop the stone. She'd been absently tossing it from hand to hand while watching the water, wondering why it always seemed to be in such a hurry. When the stone slipped from her fingers and plummeted downward, she barely had time to gasp. The splash wasn't large, but the ripples spread outward in perfect circles until they reached Mr. Holloway's line. He looked up sharply, his weathered face finding Chloe immediately, as if he'd known she was there all along. Chloe ran. That night, strange things began to happen. When she brushed her teeth, the water from the faucet splashed upward, defying gravity, catching the bathroom's white light in crystalline beads. When she whispered goodnight to her goldfish, the word hung visible in the air for 3 full seconds, silvery and trembling against the blue-tinted darkness of her room, before dissolving. And when she finally fell asleep, she dreamed of ripples spreading outward forever, never stopping, touching shores of countries she couldn't name. The next morning, Chloe found a small puddle of water on her bedroom floor, though nothing was leaking. The liquid shimmered with an iridescent quality unlike ordinary tap water. When she touched it, the liquid formed a perfect circle before spelling out 3 words in what looked like quicksilver. Find the voice. Mom? Chloe called, her heart pounding. Dad? But her parents had already left for their respective laboratories, where they studied things like quantum resonance and vibrational energy behind doors of brushed steel and walls of pristine white, things that seemed suddenly eerily relevant. School was no better. In music class, when Chloe sang the note G, everyone else's voices temporarily disappeared, leaving her solitary voice hanging in the air like a thread of gold against the classroom's institutional beige walls. At lunch, her milk carton whispered her name, the cardboard vibrating with a faint pearlescent glow visible only from the corner of her eye. By recess, she was desperately trying to convince herself she was imagining things. That's when she saw him, Mr. Holloway, standing at the edge of the playground, looking directly at her through the chain-link fence that glinted silver in the midday sun. He wasn't holding his fishing pole, but rather a small leather-bound book, the color of well-oiled mahogany, with silver clasps that caught the light. When their eyes met, he nodded once and walked away, his figure receding against the backdrop of green hills beyond the school. Chloe knew she should tell a teacher about the strange man at the playground fence. She knew she should call her parents. Instead, when the final bell rang, she found herself following the path toward Ferguson Bridge, her red backpack bouncing against her shoulders. Mr. Holloway waited beneath it, sitting on a flat rock beside the flowing water. Up close, Chloe noticed his eyes were the exact color of the creek, neither blue nor green, but something in between, like jade viewed through clear water. "You've disturbed something," he said without preamble. His voice had an unusual quality, as if each word contained hidden harmonics. "I'm sorry about the stone," Chloe replied, her own voice small. Not that, Mr. Holloway shook his head. The stone was just a key turning in a lock. The question is, are you ready to see what's behind the door? He opened the leather book, revealing pages the color of aged parchment covered with what looked like musical notation in rich sepia ink. Except the notes moved across the page like tiny swimmers, leaving trails of copper-colored light. What is that? Chloe whispered. The Book of Echoes, Mr. Holloway said. Every sound ever made still exists somewhere. Whispers, shouts, promises, lies. Most fade beyond human hearing, but they never truly disappear. He tapped the page with a weathered finger. This book helps us find them again. Chloe paused. Why show me? Because you've gained the attention of the Echo Realm, and because I need your help. His weathered face grew solemn. Many years ago, I made a terrible mistake. I spoke words I shouldn't have, rendered a judgment that was unjust. When you were a judge, Chloe said. He looked surprised. You know that story? Everyone does. Mr. Holloway nodded slowly. But they don't know the full truth. My words sentenced an innocent man to prison. By the time I realized my mistake, it was too late. He was gone, disappeared from the system completely. Can't you just tell people you were wrong? I tried, he said softly. No one believed me. No records could be found. It was as if he never existed, except as an echo in my conscience. He turned a page in the book. The moving notations formed a pattern that looked almost like a map, copper lines forming roads and boundaries across the parchment. The echo realm exists in the spaces between sounds. It collects words, especially significant ones, like judgments and promises and apologies. The innocent man's voice is trapped there. If I can find it, I can prove what happened and make amends. Chloe frowned. What does this have to do with me? The realm is responding to you. The signs you've been seeing, they're invitations. He held out the book. You can help me navigate the realm. Children's voices have special properties there. They haven't yet learned to say things they don't mean. Chloe stepped back, her white sneakers scuffing against the pebbled ground. This was too strange, too much. I should go home. Of course, Mr. Holloway said, not pushing. But the realm won't stop calling to you now that it's started. When you're ready, I'll be here. He closed the book, and immediately all the strange events of the past 24 hours, the defying water, the visible words, the whispering milk carton, flashed through Chloe's mind like a slideshow. How do I make it stop? She asked. You don't, he said simply. Echoes always return to their source. That night, Chloe couldn't sleep. She kept hearing soft, indistinct voices coming from her closet, her bathroom sink, even her pencil case with its bright yellow exterior. When she finally dozed off near dawn, she dreamed of a vast library where words floated through the air like birds, some bright and cheerful with golden luminescence, others dark and heavy, trailing shadows like ink in water. In the morning, her bathroom mirror didn't show her reflection. Instead, it displayed an unfamiliar face, a man with kind eyes the color of coffee and a tired smile who mouthed words she couldn't understand, his image hazy as if viewed through frosted glass. Chloe's decision was made for her then. After breakfast, she told her parents she was going to the library, which wasn't entirely a lie. She just didn't specify which library. Mr. Holloway waited at the bridge, as if he'd known she would come. Without a word, he led her to a door Chloe had never noticed before, a small wooden entrance the color of burnished copper built into the stone foundation of the bridge itself. The Echo Realm has many entrances, he explained. This one has been here since the bridge was built. Are you ready? Chloe wasn't sure she'd ever be ready, but she nodded anyway. Mr. Holloway opened the door, revealing not darkness, but a shimmering silver-blue light that pulsed like a living heartbeat. The rules are simple but strict, he said. Listen more than you speak. Never lie. And most importantly, remember that every word ever spoken still exists. So be careful what you add to the collection. He held out his hand, and Chloe took it. They stepped through the door into a world made of sound. The air itself seemed to vibrate with whispers, shouts, songs, and sighs, the accumulated noise of centuries creating a visual haze that shifted between mother-of-pearl translucence and deeper, more saturated hues where sounds congregated densely. Pathways of concentrated sound formed roads through a landscape that shifted between library, cavern, and concert hall, columns of crystallized whispers rising like alabaster pillars to support ceilings of rippling, auroral light. "This way," Mr. Holloway said, consulting his book. The musical notations now glowed with a warm copper light, pointing toward what appeared to be a distant tower made of crystallized echoes that caught and reflected light in prismatic cascades. As they walked, Chloe noticed that their footsteps made no sound. Other noises surrounded them, fragments of conversations, laughter, cries, promises, but they moved through it all like ghosts, occasionally passing through curtains of sound that looked like sheets of rain but felt like gossamer against the skin. "The Tower of Judgment," Mr. Holloway explained as they approached the crystal structure that rose before them, its surface alternating between diamond-clear transparency and opaque white like frozen fog, where all official pronouncements are stored. Inside the tower, millions of echoes hung suspended in the air, each contained within a translucent bubble that refracted light into tiny rainbows. Dates and names hovered beside each one in script that seemed to be written in light itself. "We're looking for March 15th, 7 years ago," Mr. Holloway said, his voice tight with emotion. "The case of Peter Ellison." They searched for what felt like hours, climbing spiral staircases made of hardened sound waves that shimmered between silver and crystal, peering at countless bubbles containing the judgments of decades. "It's not here," Mr. Holloway finally said, his voice breaking. "It should be here, but it's not." The light around him seemed to dim, as if responding to his disappointment. "What happens to echoes that aren't stored properly?" Chloe asked, thinking aloud. Mr. Holloway froze. "They wander, of course, if someone deliberately removed the judgment from the tower." A new determination entered his eyes. He flipped rapidly through the Book of Echoes until he found a page that showed a labyrinth of whispering corridors, the paths marked in coppery lines that moved like slow-flowing liquid. "The Lost Sounds section," he said. "Follow me." They descended from the tower into winding passages where forgotten words bumped against each other like confused moths, each one glowing with a faint, unique light, some amber, others pale blue, still others a green so dark it was almost black. Here, the echoes were fainter, many too distorted to understand. "I need your help now," Mr. Holloway said. "Call for Peter Ellison's voice. Children can summon lost sounds better than adults." Chloe felt ridiculous, but she cupped her hands around her mouth and called out, "Peter Ellison, are you here?" At first, nothing happened. Then, like iron filings drawn to a magnet, scattered whispers began moving toward them, each one trailing a faint golden light as they gradually coalesced into a single echo bubble that hovered before Chloe, glowing with a steady, warm radiance. Inside it, a man's voice spoke with quiet dignity. "I am innocent of these charges." Mr. Holloway reached for the bubble with trembling hands. "I found you," he whispered, "after all these years." But before he could touch it, a harsh sound like radio static filled the corridor, bringing with it a drop in temperature and a draining of color from their surroundings. A figure materialized before them, shaped like a person but composed entirely of canceling sound waves, a walking void of noise, its form a dark absence against the shimmering backdrop of the realm. "Step away from that echo," the figure said in a voice that seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere, leaving traces of frost on nearby surfaces. "Who are you?" Chloe demanded. "I am the silencer," the figure replied. "I remove sounds that should not be heard again." Where it moved, colors faded as if being drained away. Mr. Holloway stepped forward. "You hid Peter Ellison's judgment. Why?" "Some truths are inconvenient," the silencer said. "Some mistakes too costly to correct. The order came from above. Erase all record of the case, silence the echo." "That's wrong," Chloe said, the unfairness burning inside her. You can't just make people disappear. The silencer turned toward her, its featureless face somehow menacing, its void-like presence seeming to pull at the edges of her vision. And what would a child know about justice? Chloe thought about the stone she'd dropped, how simple actions could have unforeseen consequences. She thought about Mr. Holloway, spending years fishing beneath a bridge, searching for a way to right his wrong. I know that hiding your mistakes only makes them echo louder inside you, she said. Her words visibly rippled through the air, gold and silver waves expanding outward, causing the silencer to step back as if pushed by an invisible force. "The girl speaks truth?" came a new voice, deep and resonant, filling the corridor with a warm amber light that pushed back against the silencer's void. A figure even stranger than the silencer appeared, its body composed of perfect golden sound waves arranged in the shape of an elderly librarian, spectacles of crystallized light perched upon what would be its nose. "Keeper of Echoes," Mr. Holloway said, bowing slightly. "This echo was wrongfully removed," the keeper said, gesturing to Peter Ellison's bubble, which pulsed more brightly in the keeper's presence. The silencer exceeded authority. "I was following orders," the silencer insisted, its darkness seeming to curl defensively around itself. "Even orders must answer to truth eventually," the keeper replied, its golden form brightening. Then, turning to Chloe, "Child, you have shown wisdom beyond your years. The echo responds to you. What do you believe should happen?" Chloe looked at the bubble containing Peter Ellison's Declaration of Innocence, its warm glow reflecting in her eyes, then at Mr. Holloway's hopeful face, and finally at the silencer's blank countenance. "I think hiding the truth hurts everyone," she said. "It hurt Mr. Holloway, who couldn't fix his mistake. It hurt Peter Ellison, who lost his freedom. And it probably hurt whoever gave the order to hide it, because they've had to live with that decision." She reached out and gently touched the echo bubble. Its surface felt like warm glass beneath her fingers, its light brightening at her touch. "This needs to be heard in the real world." The keeper nodded. "So it shall be." The bubble floated to Mr. Holloway, who carefully placed it within the Book of Echoes. The moment he did, a weight seemed to lift from his shoulders, and the watercolored hue of his eyes brightened perceptibly. "Thank you," he said to Chloe, his creek-colored eyes bright with unshed tears. The keeper turned to the silencer. "You have much to answer for." "You can't silence a silencer," it replied defiantly, darkness swirling around its form. "No," the keeper agreed, "but we can make you listen." With a gesture, the keeper summoned thousands of echo bubbles that began orbiting the silencer like electrons around a nucleus, each one glowing with a different color. Some the deep red of anger, others the pale blue of sorrow, still others the green gold of hope. You will hear every voice you've ever attempted to silence until you understand their worth. As the silencer was led away, swallowed by the constellation of voices it had tried to erase, the keeper addressed Chloe once more. "Few children visit the echo realm. Fewer still understand its purpose so intuitively. Would you like to return someday?" Chloe thought about the strange, beautiful world of captured sounds with its impossible architecture and shifting colors. "Yes," she admitted, "but I need to go home now." "Of course, but take this." The keeper handed her what looked like a small silver tuning fork that caught the light with an almost liquid brilliance. "A key to the realm, should you wish to return. Remember what you've learned here. Our words create echoes that ripple far beyond our knowledge. Choose them wisely." The journey back seemed quicker. Soon they stood again beneath Ferguson Bridge, the late afternoon sun dappling the flowing creek with patches of gold and amber. The door to the echo realm had vanished, visible now only as a faint copper outline in the stone that faded even as Chloe watched. "What happens now?" Chloe asked. "Now I take Peter Ellison's voice, his testimony, to people who can reopen his case," Mr. Holloway said, patting the Book of Echoes, its mahogany cover gleaming in the slanting sunlight. "It won't be easy, but the truth has a power of its own once it's spoken aloud." Chloe nodded, fingering the silver tuning fork in her pocket. "Will I see you again?" "I expect so," he smiled, "though perhaps not fishing under this bridge anymore." As Chloe walked home, she noticed something strange. She could faintly hear the echoes of her footsteps before she made them, as if the sound was traveling backward through time. The world seemed fuller somehow, layered with whispers just beyond normal hearing. That night, as she got ready for bed, Chloe spoke deliberately to her reflection. "I promise to listen for voices that others ignore." The words hung visible in the air for a moment, silvery and trembling against the soft blue shadows of her room, before vanishing. But Chloe knew they hadn't disappeared. They had simply joined the countless other sounds in the echo realm, waiting to return to their source when the time was right. Because that's the thing about echoes, they always come back to you in the end. End of story. Thank you for listening to The Echo Keeper, a published work of Millennia Publishing. Visit millenniapublishing.com to discover more. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more incredible stories. Hit the bell icon to stay updated on our latest uploads.